Hey there. It's a sit with me Saturday as the sun's going down. Going to go with the seventh talk, seventh seventh discourse here in the mid-length courses discourse of Buddha. It's called the Smile of the Cloth. It's probably not a very good translation. Over here at Starbucks, of course, and there's plenty of traffic. I don't know how the sound quality is. Okay, well, let's jump in. What's it about? Let's see. I guess Buddha was over at Savatthi and Jetta's Grove, and he addresses them monks. He says, "Monks," and they go, "Elder monk, sir." He says, "Monks, just suppose there's a cloth that it was defiled and stained, and someone who dyed the cloth. Maybe it was blue or yellow or red or whatever. Now it would look pretty poorly dyed and impure in its color. Now, why is that? Now, because it's the impurity of the cloth. It's messed up. He says it's the same thing when the mind is defiled. An unhappy destination is normally something that happens. He says, go ahead and suppose that the cloth was pure and bright, and someone who dyes cloth dipped it in one dye or another, blue or yellow or red or whatever. It would look well dyed. The color would look great. Why is that? Because of the purity of the cloth. He's saying the mind, if it's undefiled, a happy destination is normally something that happens. This brings questions. So he's like, okay, now what are the imperfections that defile the mind? You don't want the mind defiled. What is it? Do you know? Well, let's see what he says. He gives some examples here. Covetous, unrighteous greed, ill will, anger, resentment, contempt, insolence, envy, avarice, deceit, fraud, obstinacy, rivalry, conceit, arrogance, vanity, negligence. He gives a little example here. Knowing that covetousness and unrighteous greed is an imperfection that defiles the mind, a monk lets it go. Knowing that ill will, negligence is an imperfection that defiles the mind, the monk lets it go. They inquire unwavering confidence in Buddha this way, because the Blessed One's accomplished, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of the gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. Wow, they don't put him on a very high pedestal. Yeah, they do. So yeah, he's perfection incarnate. I don't tend to believe that way, but you know. He acquires unwavering confidence in the way of things, knowing the way of things, confidence in the community. When he's given up, expelled, released, abandoned, and relinquished those imperfections, in part, he considers, well, I'm possessed of unwavering confidence in the Buddha, and he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the way of things, the teachings, gains gladness connected with the teachings. When he's glad, rapture is born in him. In one who is rapturous, the body becomes tranquil. One whose body is tranquil feels pleasure, and one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes concentrated. So he's saying you get inspiration, you get confidence, you get all this good stuff. He's talking about the thing in the first place, the purity being important. And he talks a lot about these kinds of things where he's saying, you should learn something, but if you take it from the right perception, you could learn it more easily. The right view on something. He's saying you could. He said before that you could grab a teaching the wrong way, like you can grab a snake the wrong way. You can grab it by the head or the tail. If you don't know what you're doing, you get bit. I don't know. That doesn't directly translate to what I'm saying, but I appreciate you sitting with me here for a minute. It's not an ideal spot. I probably should have picked a better one. Nah, roll with it, right? So anyway, he gives an example here of being able to deal with stuff because of that purity, because the person has given some stuff up. He says, if the monk of such a virtue, such a state of mind, such wisdom eats donations consisting of choice hill rice along with various sauces and curries, even that will be no obstacle for him. Just as cloth that is defiled and stained becomes pure and bright with the help of clear water, or just as gold becomes pure and bright with the help of furnace, so too, if a monk of such virtue eats such donation food, that will be no obstacle for him. Uh, they're a little sexist, it's for him because they're all men, but for anybody. And you might wonder why would that be an obstacle anyway? He's saying eating fancy food, eating the best fancy food, a delicacy like that. Uh, it, you know, somebody who eats plain food all the time, whatever might be donated, they get this fancy feast, and that can lead them astray a little bit. But not if they're all right in the first place. And they go on to talk about this idea they have of washing stuff and purity and whatnot, and they touch on this thing that they had and they still have in India, where they believe that the river is sacred there, and that washing themselves with the water, that's like a sacred thing. They ask if Buddha goes down to the river to wash, and he says, "Why? What good's the river going to do me? You know, sacred river." He says a fool can bathe forever and not purify their dark deeds, cannot purify an evildoer. One pure in heart always has the best of spring, well, life, like the holy day. One fair, one that acts good, pure of heart, brings virtue to perfection. He's saying that the water's not going to fix it. There's an end part here. There's a particular Brahmin there, and if you follow what I'm saying here, the way it's written, he received the going forth under the Blessed One. Um, so Buddha made him a monk, and he received full admission to the monks. Soon, not long after his full admission, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, resolute, venerable, uh, by realizing for himself with direct knowledge here and now, entered upon and abided in that supreme goal of the holy life for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the home life into homelessness. He directly knew birth is destroyed, holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done, there is no more coming to any state of being, and the venerable monk became one of those returners, someone who's been beyond, has no purpose for the world, but they stay to help. Compassion. That's the end of that. Obviously, there's more to that story. Well, what did he do? Well, I'm sure he lived a charitable life. I'm sure he was helping people. I'm sure he was compelled. The I don't think they talk enough about what the monks used to do back then, but the monks used to be an avid part of the community. They would help with things, they would do things with people, they would provide some labor here and there. Not that they were just like some labor force you could call on, but they did charitable things. And of course, they shared teachings and they were a great role model and those kinds of things. You know, yeah, the sun's getting mighty low. All right, well, appreciate you coming out. I don't know if anybody looks like somebody had shown up. If there's any particular question or something you want covered that from a Buddhist viewpoint, let me know. Um, as far as meditation goes, um, I wanted to mention, well, let's see, what should I mention exactly? I don't really prepare for these things. I do some highlighter underlining, and I just speak mostly from just what I know. And the teachings are just pretty obvious, I think, to me. I would hope for anybody. And yeah, I'm still preoccupied with what I should say about meditation. I don't know. Maybe I should cover postures, just basically postures. It's helpful to meditate in an uncomfortable position. Um, you don't want to hurt yourself, but a little soreness might be all right, Um, it's part of asceticism. Um, so, you don't want to go too far. You don't want to starve yourself. You don't want to hurt your body with such uncomfortable positions too much there, and you don't want to just be a hermit to the point that you don't know how to act around people because you just haven't been around them at all. Um, you want to not resign yourself to just the most bland food because you don't want any pleasure at all from food. There's certainly a middle way in so many things, and you want to observe the middle way. I think with postures, there's some really helpful things. Of course, if you were sitting up and your back is straight, that's great. But you could be laying down, and if you're laying down, you want to make sure that your back is stretched out enough that uh, your butt goes the opposite direction from your head to kind of stretch your body just a little bit. If you do that, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to deal. But we're talking about uncomfortable states, and one of them could be having an arm up or both arms if you have both arms at work. And if you fall asleep or whatever, that arm's going to fall, so it could fall down right on your face. Um, you'd be surprised how hard it is to hold your arm up for, let's say, 10 minutes. You could be squatted down on one foot. You could have one leg stretched out, the other one bent up, squatted on one side. You could uh, you could be in a resting push-up stance. You could, whatever. Uh, it's akin to the type of meditation people do when they're working, a working type of meditation, like chopping wood or, you know, something of that nature. But you might try an uncomfortable position every now and again just to see what breaks loose, just to see how your mind deals with it, uh, or whether you can really deal with it or not. Well, I'm glad we could at least cover that teaching. And I didn't have much to offer about meditation, but I like to say something about meditation each time. Sure is a great day to be alive. I appreciate you stopping by, having a sit. Once again, if there's any questions or anything, just let me know before I sign off. I'll give you a minute. I'll rattle on about something. Let's see. I guess a reflection about that teaching. Uh, having a clean cloth to get dyed a particular color, it's a beautiful color. If it's clean, if it's nasty, stained cloth, then when you go to color it, it's not going to color right. So when you go to learn something, you might not be capable of learning it correctly at the time, even though it's a perfectly good teaching. And then later you run into the same teaching because you have been purified and you don't have those impediments, and bang, everything clicks. So I would encourage you not to give up on understanding and to revisit and revisit these teachings to see what might pop. And you'd be surprised what pops. Bam. All right. So lastly, if there's any questions, anything you wanted the Buddhist viewpoint on, or the point of debate or conjecture from that's Buddhist, I'll give you a minute to bring it up. It's all good. Watching from the beginning, I mean, if you're just tuning in, like I see somebody is, you know, you'll want to go from the beginning. Yeah, if somebody wanted to be split into the video, I would do that. Maybe not everybody, we don't have that kind of time, but somebody. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything, but I do appreciate you coming by, sitting with me a little on Saturday, hanging out here at the Starbucks. Didn't pick a great location. Next time I'll do better, I promise. And you can go from the beginning of the video and get the teaching that I covered, number 7, from the Middling Discourses of Buddha. On YouTube, you'll see on my page or wherever you're seeing this in media. There's YouTube, there's Facebook, and some, not much yet, on TikTok. And there's an application for Android in the Play Store called Ask Buddha, where you can get some Buddha quotes. Don't have to give any of your information or anything. It just uses whatever Google Play stuff you've got going on with Google. And you don't sign up, you don't get any notifications, any of that. You just open it if you want to open it. You don't, you don't. That easy. And it doesn't have to cost you anything. I give people all the coins they want pretty much for free to ask questions or to look at what other people have asked. I really thought that was going to be a thing people would just love. And so far, there's only like a couple people on the planet that actually use it. But if there's a couple people, then, it's worth it. All right. Thanks for stopping by. It's a great day to be alive once again.